Welcome to the State of Fintech podcast. I'm your host, Destinee, Vice President at York Public Relations. And joining me is Adam Schwartzbaugh, CEO of Almond Fintech, a cross-border payment platform that leverages blockchain routing technology to deliver near-instant settlement across 100 digital currencies. Today, we're diving into a question that affects every financial institution making international payments. Does timing actually matter when you send cross-border transactions? Is there really a best time of day to move money across borders? We're going to explore the patterns, strategies, and insights around payment timing that could help your institution save time and money on international transactions. Let's get started. Hi, Adam. I'd like to welcome you to our State of Fintech podcast. Would you like to start off by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about Almond Fintech?
Sure. So Adam Schwartzbaugh, CEO and co-founder of this wonderful company. We built this on a mission to unify the world's financial infrastructure, making money move more efficiently and affordably. The simple premise for starting Almond was the belief that money should move with the same affordability and efficiency as data. And we built something that does just that. So our technology is an intelligence layer for cross-border foreign exchange, treasury, and payments routing orchestration. What that looks like under the hood is a programmable, multi-chain, token-agnostic engine that leverages adaptive modeling in response to real-time market dynamics. And this is for corporations and money transmitters that have a treasury or payment requirement. And the result is that we provide phenomenal foreign exchange rates, fiat to fiat, at incredible speeds. So T+0, but realistically, it's sub a few minutes. 24/7, 365. It's future-proofed in the sense that every blockchain built, token minted, exchange opened provides more optionality, which further optimizes the engine. So I think it's a necessity, and a lot of people will stand to benefit from it. There you go.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I read every day about global economy and cross-border payments, and infrastructure like this is just going to be incredibly important to the future of the industry. Let's jump right in with, is there actually an optimal time of day to send cross-border payments?
Yes, but it differs every day, every corridor, so every foreign exchange pair, but there is an optimal time. There's an optimal time within a minute. There's an optimal time within a period of an hour, a day, or day of the week. It really depends on what the kind of the requirements are of the entity sending the funds. So if you have the ability to wait, one of those periods of times, so an hour or a day or a few days, then timing can be further optimized to deliver a better FX rate. And when I say an FX rate, I mean the actual amount of money that we're able to deliver from fiat to fiat, country A to country B. So from US dollars to Mexican pesos, for example, you're going to be able to deliver more under different conditions. And so for example, in our instance, like when an entity requests a transfer, will generate a real-time rate that's designed to outperform alternatives by selecting the best time of day and proposing a certain window in which to move those funds. And it's just up to the entity to either approve that window or say, actually, I want to move the money right now at whatever we can deliver in the next 60 seconds. But timing definitely plays a pretty critical role here.
It's really cool that, just from my perspective, listening to you speak on that, it's just really cool to hear that you can propose a time and it is still up to the entity, like, no, let's move it now, or yeah, I'd like to wait for the most optimal time. Having that kind of control is really, really cool.
Yeah, and there are a couple of considerations there, and it's maybe it's the liquidity requirements of the sending entity, like they need the funds there right away to facilitate some immediate payments, or it's Almond, for example, we make payroll in other countries. We know when our payroll is. So we can actually schedule a transfer days out and give this optimization engine, this technology that we built, the time to model out what the best scenario is, and then pick the right minute of the right hour of the right day between now and that time. And the main constraint is that money needs to be delivered by the no later than date and time kind of stipulated in the scheduling. So what are so this is a range of inputs. So you got the customer's parameters. So how much is being sent, the corridor. So is it going to US to Mexico, or is it US to Philippines, or to Singapore? And then we factor in a bunch of data. So it's like historical foreign exchange rates, a number of fees, because we utilize stable coins and alternative coins to actually move these funds. So these bridges that we're moving fiat to fiat through. So the blockchain exchange fees, and then any particular risk signals like volatility in certain currencies. These all result in an output that is the optimal FX rate within that specified period of time. The simplest way to think about this is like Google Maps and predicting future traffic. So just as Google Maps forecasts traffic patterns based on time of day and past trends, like avoid this route, almost any route at 5 p.m., Almond predicts how FX rates across a variety of currencies will move within the next minutes, hours, or even days.
That's really cool. I like the Google Maps example that you gave. I'm very visual, so that helps. I was going to ask you about your thoughts on stablecoin at the end of this, but maybe now is a moment for a quick few thoughts, because I feel like the news on that is every single day.
Yeah, stablecoins are important for a number of reasons. I think the most important part of this is that they're kind of leading the way in creating more and greater confidence in blockchain-based solutions and utilizing these specifically for cross-border money movement. So in Almond's case, what we rely on is what we leverage is the collective capability, liquidity, availability of a broad range of bridge currencies, and to include stablecoins. So maybe in this moment, it makes the most sense, sticking with the pesos example, to go from USD to pesos via USDC. Wait a minute, it might be via USDT, but it also might be via XRP or Solana or a number of other options. So we certainly utilize stablecoins. We can if there's a preference for utilizing only stablecoins, we can certainly isolate for those and optimize across them to deliver the best FX rate. But how stablecoins, just in the Almond example, help us out is it's creating a more like a clear regulatory environment. So by having like the Genius Act, for example, it really creates conditions for stablecoins to be utilized for domestic payments reliably. Previously, there might be questions about what are these stablecoins backed by? Is it really a 1-to-1 ratio with respect to the reserves that are held on hand? Is the value there? So there will be more confidence in holding on to stablecoins now because they're compliant with new regulations. And we'll see more and more of these. So USDC is the first one that's Genius compliant. Tether will be doing the same. They're already doing the same thing. So instead of USDT, they'll be using USAT. That's their Genius compliant stablecoin. So there's more and more of these. So now companies are like, okay, there's clarity in the environment as to whether or not we even should bother touching stablecoins. And this is just a nice stepping stone towards moving money towards more of a digital environment, which is inherently faster, more cost efficient, and reliable, both for domestic payments and for cross-border payments. So it's more of like we've got regulation going in the right direction. Corporations feel more comfortable and confident in these solutions. And then for us, we expect that more companies will be leveraging technologies like ours. The remaining question will be which stablecoin we use for which corridor under which conditions. My answer to that is always going to be all of them available, and then just optimize for whichever one's providing the best solution in that moment. And then I'll go a step further and say, also, there's a lot more than stablecoins. You have a number of other tokens you can route funds through that are just as stable because we move funds through them so quickly that, well, as you know, any currency on a short enough timeline becomes stable. So as long as we can predict what's going to happen, we can take advantage of that as well. So it's good. it's a good thing in a number of ways, whether it's domestic payments or it's cross-border payments.
Okay, so to go back to our original line of questioning, when you are looking at your platform's data and analyzing across different markets, are there timing patterns that you see that would surprise people?
Yes, definitely. There'll always be something in there that surprises people because like we have a tremendous repository of data at this point, and across a long period of time and just a huge stack of bridge currencies for a wide array of corridors. And even still, I find myself surprised looking at what the optimal result was. I think seeing this is a little bit surprising for basically anybody. The most important takeaway from that is so long as you are still surprised, you should use something that helps you make these decisions so that you are just always getting the best rate, whatever the latest and greatest is in terms of timing for that particular corridor moving money. There are kind of like some macro trends we'll start to see, like there'll be certain patterns in the course of a week or like day to day so that we can say, okay, well, the next day is going to look like this based on a bunch of historical data and what we're seeing right now. We may see like, I'm just looking over here, US to Philippines, like the worst day on average, looking at the last 6 months, is like Tuesday if you want to move funds, whereas on average, the best day is Sunday. Now, within those days, though, you'll have a rate on Sunday that's far, far worse than the rate on Tuesday at the same time of day. So you need to pick the right time of day as well. So you might say, so for example, in this like Friday morning at 2 a.m. On for the same corridor, like absolute worst rate you had all week, but by Friday night at about 8 p.m., best rate you had all week. So even within a period of a day, you can have the worst and the best. Now, the challenge is historically is looking at these, kind of averaging out what you would expect to get in the period of a day or in the course of a week. And you would say, well, the rate on that Friday is no better than on Tuesday, but that's because you're not moving the funds at the right time of that day. So I think that's what's surprising is just like how much of an alpha there is from the low end to the high end. And on top of that, what's even more surprising is the simple fact that we can predict what that is within a very reasonable margin of error. So yeah, there are a few things that can be surprising. Oh, here's another one. Like, I think generally just the quality of rates on the weekend. This is surprising only in the sense that, or mostly in the sense that we're used to only moving money during business hours. So that's Monday through Friday, like 9 to 5 kind of deal. Well, we're working with a company that moves funds from Singapore to Indonesia, another one that's US to Mexico, another one that's US to Philippines, like 4 overseas workers. Now, in one of those corridors, the optimal timing is on a Sunday, because I mean, it's just like when our rates tend to be the highest. Like if you were able to take advantage of them, well, that lines up nicely because a lot of overseas workers are sending money home or would prefer to send money home on the weekend when they have time available to go to a transmitter desk, like over the counter or something like that. So weekends can be tremendously favorable. Again, this is all depending on the corridor as well.
So I feel like you just answered my next question, which was, what's the biggest timing mistake that you see businesses make with cross-border payments? And I would assume that it's just sticking to a Monday to Friday business hours viewpoint.
Yeah, sticking to or just believing that that's generally going to give you the best rate as it is, and then I think even within the like currently available windows, even if it's within the 9 to 5, there's still a lot of variability, and you want to be able to take advantage of that. And seeing the differences, almost like minute to minute or hour to hour, can be considerable. So we were talking a little bit previously about like the Google Map scenario. So like the right time to move across town is not the same, throughout the course of a day or every day of the week. In the same vein, within a small period of time, like let's say you actually set off on your drive. You've got the best route. Google Maps says go this way. Well, this is like at more of a micro level. This is more like the picking the best lane, the fastest lane as you go through traffic. So it's like you're weaving around cars. Maybe you're making some snap decisions to change lanes simply because you see, some red lights ahead or red like tail lights and so on. So making these slight adjustments in the moment can further optimize your rate. So pick the best day, sure, based on our predictive modeling, then pick the best hour, and then within the best hour, our engine just automatically selects the right minute. So this is also a key component of the timing aspect.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great example. I can actually it helps me visualize it. And I think it helps me understand exactly what you're talking about. So I feel like you've also answered a lot of my questions here, which another one was walk me through what happens when someone sends a payment on a Tuesday afternoon versus a Friday evening. Are those experiences different?
Right now they are. They should not be. So old way, yes, really different. I mean, in this particular example, they're different because on a Friday evening, you can't send money because it's outside of business hours, probably. So one, it's possible. The second piece of this is that, you're going to have different rates on the Tuesday morning versus the Friday evening. And the most important takeaway from this is you don't want to have somebody just staring at rates in real time, seeing which providers give you the best FX rate. You want to have an engine or technology that basically is programmable. So early on, I said, we have this multi-chain token agnostic programmable solution. The programmable piece is sort of like in that payroll example, just pick the time by which you need those funds and let the engine do the rest, to include timing of it between now and then, whether it's an hour out or 24 hours out. So the nice thing about this is you could maybe you schedule your transfer on that Tuesday morning, but you actually don't need it until Friday evening. Well, it's going to take that full window, look at the optimal timing, and then it's going to start to move those funds. So one of the kind of implied pieces of this that is also a little bit surprising, besides just the power of the timing aspect, is how much the I'm talking about timing optimization in terms of the movement of the funds when to trigger the movement of these funds. But there's another timing optimization, I guess I'll call it, which is how much time are you spending trying to figure out when to move the funds. This is like corporate treasuries who spend whatever, on average of 50 to 200 hours a month or something for larger companies, managing their cross-border flows and generally optimizing for the right time based on their capital requirements. Well, if you just set the right parameters, you'll always have the funds where you need them, and they'll be delivered on time, and they will have been moved at the optimal rate, but within the course of that time, to include via the best route that provide the most favorable rates. So there's a couple pieces to that. So from the consumer-facing experience of the client, the treasury team, it's just schedule it with your parameters and what you want to see as a result. And then that's all you have to do. So the difference then is you saved a bunch of time between Tuesday and Friday, just managing your capital floats across borders and to cover your liquidity requirements. And then the other aspect of that is invariably you will have delivered more money. You will have lost less money in the course of moving money because you did it at the optimal rates.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think the concept of scheduling it ahead of time is the biggest piece of that, because scheduling bills, scheduling all of that stuff ahead of time not only makes my life easier, but also saves the business money, because then nothing falls through the cracks. You don't, forget about anything, or you're not spending someone else's time staring at, like you said, exchange rates. And
it's like an automation piece, honestly. Everything's being automated. This is one of those things that can be automated, but if you're going to automate it, make sure you're automating across all of your available options, which is the hesitancy right now. It's still seen, even though we have all of these options available to us, we're still thinking of it in kind of a linear way. Do I use that route or that route? Do I use USDC or USDT? Do I use this blockchain network or that blockchain network? But it's really every single combination of them yields a different result at different times. So you want something that just looks at all of it for you and gives you the best result.
Mm-hmm. If businesses are managing a high volume of international payments, is your advice to automate and get all of those taken care of ahead of time as possible? Or is there a different strategy that you would recommend?
Yeah, still in automation. Everything still functions the same way. at higher volumes, you're generally the main constraints are liquidity. So especially if you're using like a single stable coin or something like that. So if you want to move funds right now through a bridge currency, so we'll go to pesos again from US dollar, you use USDC. At a certain point, demand for USDC in Mexico probably starts to drop. I mean, inevitably it will. Just like everything else, supply demand is you have curves. You're going to get worse op rates the more you move. So what you want to be able to do is leverage the collective liquidity of all available bridge currencies. So if you can use USDC and USDT, at a minimum, you will have the liquidity of USDC plus something, plus whatever USDT has. Then you just add every one on top of that. Now here's your total liquidity that you can draw upon. So let's say you're moving funds through USDC. You're moving such a high volume that the rate that the effective exchange rate that you're getting when you sell USDC into Mexican pesos starts to drop. Well, you've got USDT over here, so you want to start using USDT until the demand for USDC returns. This is how you're getting an optimal rate, by always capturing whichever one's giving you the best rate when you off ramp. And the next thing to think about is, well, what if you could do this like concurrently? So we'll actually move funds through multiple channels simultaneously. So if you got to move $20 million, maybe 10 will go through USDC and 10 will go through USDT versus 10 through one, then 10 through the other. Or maybe it's back and forth. Because there's a time like by which the value of a currency or the demand for a currency returns. So it could be 1 million through USDT, then the next through USDC and back and forth. But whatever the solution is, always benefit by having more than one bridge currency that you're able to leverage, especially at higher volumes. This is important. This is like a very good thing for the world. We're losing so much value constantly in the funds that we're moving. From a personal standpoint, like I've worked overseas a lot, I've managed projects globally, and just seeing like 3, 4, 5, 6% just being lost in the course of moving funds end to end, fiat to fiat, it's unacceptable. What we have now, the infrastructure that has been built out, solves this problem if you actually optimize the use of all of it. So I just want to like express a bit of enthusiasm here, and everybody should be excited about the simple fact that we are revealing so much value that's been lost to date. And in implementing solutions like this going forward, the sooner we do it, the better everybody's going to be off. I mean, like small business, Almond's a small business, and we average 2.5% better on any, like our next best, very best alternative rate we could achieve on payroll just by leveraging our own technology. That's huge. 2.5%, like just moving money. So I'm happy for the industry and the beneficiaries, these companies that will be able to utilize this tech.
As you were talking, I was thinking about the small business implementing, like impact that something like this has for them, because it's things like that add up and are massive at the end of the day for people like that.
Yeah. 100%.
If you could give just one piece of advice, whether that's about timing or something else, to our listeners, what would that advice be?
Well, timing matters, routing matters. The combination of timing and routing matters even more. And it's different for every region, every combination of currencies and countries. So what I would recommend is that don't struggle trying to figure out which ones are the best. Just leverage the technologies and the modeling that are able to automate the all of this for you, and the savings will be real. It's so important not to take for granted how much of an improvement can typically be made. I think a lot of corporations don't fully appreciate just how far from like a mid-market rate their service providers' FX rates actually are. So it's not just like your fees, your fixed fees. It's the percentage markup on the spreads for the FX rate, which add up to a lot. It's like the classic, hey, Western Union only charges $1 for any amount of money movement overseas. And sometimes the FX rate that's given is like 6% worse than the mid-market rate. Like, okay, let's not let's capture the whole picture here. What are the total costs involved? And they're big, and recovering that it's straight to the bottom line. It can be as simple as a API integration, and a week later you're like you're the champion of the treasury team for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for coming on the State of Fintech podcast today, Adam. It was lovely to have you. And
Yeah, later. Well, thanks for letting me on. Nice talking to you.
I'd like to thank Adam for joining us today and sharing his expertise. For our listeners, if you'd like to learn more about Almond Fintech and how they're optimizing cross-border payment timing, visit almondfintech.com. Thank you for listening to the State of Fintech podcast. You can download our award-winning State of Fintech report at yorkpublicrelations.com. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. New episodes drop every week.